Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I'm talking a bit on our new age mother role. I also have another video if you'd like to see how can we be happier in our new age mother role. But I wanted to talk about what is actually being expected of us by the universe, or like what are the opportunities to step into, so we know what we're doing. No one's actually written this down for us, and that's the most important thing to remember. And with that, I would like to remind you that your children and your partners are co-creators with you. They are hinting at what you need to step into. They will often hint by maybe giving you an invitation. Would you like to do this? Or, asking you to explain something. But they're also going to give you the opportunity because they're going to come out in resistance. They're going to trigger you. And so where they're triggering you, children who are like, nah, won't do that, that gives you a chance to go, okay, yeah, what's in my new age mother role here? How am I going to show up as a new age mother? Not because someone else told me or I've read this certain type of parenting or whatnot, but it really comes back to how do I respond from my heart? And you really can only do that when you get into your heart and you pull through your own answers of how you'd explain things or how you'd show up with your children, because you also have your partner involved. And so sometimes you have to find compromise there. The correct answer that you see as the highest truth may not be. In saying that, harmony with your partner is also important. So where can you go forward respecting each other's experience and showing your children that? And so that's where it really becomes an individual game. And that's what I mentor a lot of mums with, to really fine tune, hey, what's the highest truth here and the highest path for each mum. But let's move on from just the role of hanging out, washing, making lunch boxes, all of that. The next thing is actually getting past the, keeping house stuff and actually being the lovely, housewife. So taking care of the house, taking care of the partner, but it's actually then what about the children? And that's the bit that's been missing. The children have not been seen and heard for many, many, many generations, and they have not been understood. And what I'm saying by that is, what are they coming to us? Who are they? What are they about? What's on their soul contract? Challenges that they've signed up for, and their passions, their interests, their gifts. Basically, they have a whole treasure chest there ready to go through all the gifts. And of course, it will bring the challenges as well, like it does for all of us adults. Like you can see, say, on a star chart, a birth chart. Oh yeah, signed up for these, planets and all sorts in the light and in the shadow as well. But the main part is us as the mothers have to hold space for what we see in our children first, or because no one else will usually see it. And in saying that, of course, there's plenty of dads that will really and truly see their children. But what I'm finding is us mums really have to own it as well. And we're the ones going out into the world, clearing the space for our children to come through and show up who they really are. Not, oh, okay, fit in here. Oh, okay, do that. Say that, please, thank you, manners. Don't, put on your shoes, get a jumper on, all that stuff. It's more clearing the space so that the child can, be themselves. So that's an interesting thing to think about in itself, is that without us starting it first as the mothers, often it doesn't get carried on. And because we are bringing through this new feminine energy, the guys are sitting there waiting to go, are you going to step into your feminine power? And then I will. Literally in that order, pretty much for most families that I see, there is this waiting around of the guy for the woman to stand into her power first. So no pressure. And that's why we have a big role. We are probably exhausted and stressed and confused and all of that, because there is so much to take on and so much to understand. So we must keep coming back to, this is an absolutely imperfect practice. As long as we're going forth with the intention, that's my North Star, that's where I'm going. I'm kind of, I say I'm drunk and walking, I'm crawling there, whatever. As long as you're going in that direction and not getting stuck in playing out 3D human drama each day, just getting stuck in the stuff that doesn't matter. So in saying that, the big thing that I'm bringing through is for us to tune into our kiddies lots more than we ever have, way before they start school. It's actually, who are you from day dot? You can kind of tell when, when kiddies are born, if you have twins, but obviously, if you compare siblings, when they were even one, they were doing different things. When they were two, they were doing different things, three, and so on. Also, when you go down the line with their age, you can look back and go, oh, they were still showing signs of who they are here way back here as a 2-year-old, in a 2-year-old body, this is what they were doing that shows that they were similar. For example, my Decky's really quite funny. He was being funny before he was 2. He was cracking us up. And it was obviously noted to me because my first son, Hayden, wasn't the same. So, by comparison, I was like, oh, wow, this one's really funny. And of course, he still is. So it's exciting. And it's also exciting for us to then go back ourselves, back to that timeline of who was I when I was younger? How far back can I remember? What do I remember of me that was my true essence before the conditioning and the nets of fear came down, even from our loved parents and little family bubble that came down? No, don't do that. Oh, we're not going to accept that. We don't really, what do you say? Appreciate, intuition and all of that stuff. It was squeezed out of us fairly early. But in saying that, there's always been little things that have popped up along the way. You can mark it and connect the dots to go, oh, yeah, that's my true essence right now. Even many of us have hidden that in layers of all sorts of other stuff and pleasing others and going out and doing, jobs and study that wasn't really what we wanted to do. Mostly we've forgotten our intuitive gifts and gone, more of the intellectual route and or the arty route, even if you weren't intellectual, especially as a woman. So coming back to the children then, I would like to introduce you to my True Essence profiling. If you don't know about it yet, you can go onto my website, HeidiHosking.com, and up the top there's a banner with my quiz to find out, does your children, but all the family members, you and your partner as well, have more star, heart, and or earth energy integrated? So that starts to give you a sign. Okay, yes, you can almost start to scan it yourself. And this is my North Star I want to guide everyone to, is that you don't even need a quiz or me telling you too much. You can, waft through all your family members to go, who's the most earthy? Who's more heart? Who's more starry? And just by me saying those words, I'm hoping that you can start to connect some dots by what that might actually be. If you had to say who was more starry, if you had to say who was more hearty, if you had to say who was more earthy. There is plenty of detail in this, and I do have lots more to share. So you can do my quiz. You can go onto my homepage at HeidiHosking.com. You can find my homeschooling magic e-kit that has my whole recorded play shop in there about this profiling system, so you can find out your family's true essence properly with my quiz in that. And I explain the whole thing and how we show up in the light, sometimes in star energy and sometimes in shadow energy. Same with the heart and the earth, light and shadow, so that we can start to go, okay, yes, my child, he's really heart, but actually showing up in the shadows a lot. He's quite shy, he doubts himself, whatnot, even though he's a really beautiful helper and he feels everyone else's pain, right? So there's kind of the two sides of it. That's the things that the more we know, the more we can go, okay, I know what you're about. But then from that, it comes down to the practical stuff. Who's the funniest? Who's really good with money? Who can go out and, find amazing things in nature? Who loves to connect with nature? And just getting right into the little finer details that basically, what do you or your children or your partner do without even trying? Like, what comes well without even trying? Especially when you compare it to other family members, you're like, oh no, they can't do that. There's all sorts of things. And so that's the importance, because once we start to do that, we know where we're guiding them. We know where we're taking them out into the future. And we don't rely on school to just go, okay, now we'll start the ball rolling and learning and taking you to your path of school, university, and out into a job. We don't rely on that path. We've actually got the power within ourselves to go, I know my child, I know what they're about. And when we do that, we can then match in with the activities that they may need, but we also then start to go, oh, I'd love to call in someone who can support this more, like photography. Or I wonder if we can find someone who's right into, making, paintings, woodwork, like whatever it is. And you find mentors, not necessarily big setup structures. And there's a whole big reason for that, because most of the children coming through don't want people with certain qualifications who are trying to put together programs that are telling the child what they need to do and learn, as opposed to it flowing and being free and more individual, for the child. They need it because we're all unique. And I'm going to keep using that word, uniqueness needs unique, ways in going forward. You just kind of keep moseying along with how, you know, you and, you know, the child and the mentor might go, as opposed to, well, this is what's coming next, and stifling children down. So that is a huge role for us as the mums. Whether you take your children to school or not, I don't really care about the schooling, homeschooling, unschooling thing. This is part of our new age mum role for everyone, is to really see it. And most of the time mums don't see it for two reasons. They're too busy, and or they haven't seen their own light, their own gifts. And if you don't know what you're really great with, it's hard to recognize it in your children, because it takes one to know one. And literally, one of your children at least is going to be reflecting a lot of gifts that you've got. And if you don't know yourself, it can be really hard to see it in your child. And so they sit there going, oh, well, she can't see it. Excuse me. I'm going to go out and just do filler. You know, I'll watch the footy with dad. I'll go and, you know, play out on the road and just do something over and over. You know, I'll just get into colouring. I'll just fill my time because no one's seeing this. And so it can be really subtle. They might bring you a poem one time and just go, hey, look, I wrote this little poem, and it might look ridiculous, but you go, no other child would sit down and write a poem. There's something to this. And so holding that space for it can really open up all sorts of worlds that we don't know what's there at the time, but just doing that can then take them onto a beautiful journey into whatever they're about. More than school and a curriculum that says this is what you need to do, but also in homeschooling, if there's any curriculum or any shoulds around them as well, it's the same thing. So that's our exciting role as the mum, is to really start to see them and to really start to go, oh shit, this is the time for me to start to own myself and go through my treasure chest and go, what am I really good with? Whether you work a job that you go, it's not really my sole purpose, I can feel, but the main part is then to set that intention. I would like to find out. Even that's all you need to do. I would like to see it. You don't want to go chasing it with your head. It's more just, I'd like to see things, and allowing things just to come up. Literally just seeing, when you go out in the day, I'd like to see it, things will get reflected back. And then you will start to see it in your children. And then what you have to also do is see the gifts and what comes naturally to your partner or the father of your children, even if you're separated, because they are also going to share links, like I call the family web, with certain children. And so the more you see that in your ex-partner or your partner, the more you're going to see it in your children. And this is really important, especially if you're separated, because if you are throwing your husband or your ex-husband under the bus the whole time and only seeing the dark in them, it's going to be hard to see the light in them. And that means you're missing stuff in your children. And this is where it's calling us new age mums to really push past and let up all the resentment and everything, frustrations and stuff, particularly say with a partner, you might still be with them, and or ex-partner, so that you can see their light and getting to that heart of like, wow, you know, you've hurt me, you've done crazy stuff, but I really do want to see you and your light and your true essence. We're all covered with nets of fear, even us as well. And so it's a beautiful thing if we can all start to get together and see each other in our true essence, rather than the nets of fear that we are also playing out without judgment. So then we can see it in our children and hold space for that. And not to mention the challenges that we've signed up for. Sometimes we don't see, well, sorry, I should say the challenges do shine quite brightly for us from our children. It's the fact that we don't often see it in ourselves to go, where's that challenge with me? Where do I struggle with something quite in a similar vein to what they're going through? And that's the journey. Instead of trying to fix them and tell them off and show them and teach them and lecture them, it's more coming back to go, what are they showing me? They are literally reflecting things back to us to go, oh, yes. So for example, my Hayden would always be like, hurry up, we're late, you know, you haven't gotten ready, this and that. But I actually realized I was half in that tears because actually I was leaving things to the last minute. It's just that I have a bit more earthy energy where I'm like, I've been here, done this before. I can scramble and stay present when I have to grab things and go. Whereas my Hayden would get lost. So it looked a whole lot more obvious that he was struggling, even though I still have that little vein going as well. And it basically asks for more earth, more, you know, grounding and presence and being organized and ditching the stuff that doesn't matter so that we get to the things that do matter in a nice, relaxed manner. So that's the interesting thing. That's just one thing that once you start to see the shadows in your child, you go, oh, okay, well, where is that in me? Sometimes it might be in your partner too. This is the whole family web thing. It may reflect back to them, not to you. But to really look at that and to go, okay, well, I'm holding space there for my partner. to work through it as well. My child is reflecting that. All I need to do is just say, yes, there's the reflection coming from our hearts, so that they don't get triggered and they can actually start to go, oh, yes, okay, and get triggered for themselves and work that out to go, actually, I don't like doing that myself. Okay, yep, sure, I won't even have a go at my child, and working through all of that. So that is what I'm seeing as far as our New Age Mother role. It's quite involved. It sounds like, oh, well, it's like, this is huge. I've got like shopping lists and I've got, you know, more than enough other things to do. The point is, those of us who don't have so much stress, who have it, you know, enough resources there to consider this, are the ones going first to start to say, okay. And typically that's the ones of us that have started pulling our children out of school. It's more like, okay, what am I doing now? I'm not bored, because we're very good at filling time anyway with stuff. But it's more, oh yes, I feel that heart's desire for me to connect with my children, to really see them, which brings on more heart connection and more respect when we really see our children. And then being basically the co-creator with them to call in these opportunities for them that match up exactly with what they're about. So that basically you're only spending time, you know, they are of their day doing things that are in their highest alignment. So it's like, yes, that thing really does light you up. And that's where you start to go, we've got a lot of time in the day, because we only have so many opportunities coming at us. The rest of the time we can chill out. We don't need to fill the day with lots and lots of stuff that school has shown us, you know, but you got to do this, you got to do all 7 subjects, you got to, you know, do lots of it, and, you know, lots of stuff that doesn't actually matter, particularly if we're being, you know, smart. That's basically it, being smart, not wasting a lot of time and just getting straight on point with where our children are going. So if you'd like to learn more, go to my website, HeidiHosking.com. I have online courses. I am going to be starting some soon. Mentorships, I do one-on-one, so get in touch through the website if you would like to dive into all of this, particularly your challenges as a mum. I haven't talked a lot about that today, but it's actually quite big, isn't it? That's the point. Every time our children trigger us or our partner does, there's a whole lot of inner work there. And that practice of doing the inner work and working out what are they actually reflecting for me, and then going out and voicing it from our heart. I need to stand up and speak up about this. I need to say this, whatever it is. Yeah, I can help you. But yeah, otherwise, have a look around on my website. Do come and say hello. Leave me any comments below if there's anything that you would like me to go through further. Otherwise, love to you all for doing such amazing work and being interested in this message. I feel really honoured to be sharing it with you. Bye.